It is the year 420 AD for over 2,000 years. The great civilization of Kemet has flourished along the banks of the river Nile. For 2,000 years, she has given life to millions and cradled the souls of those who came before. Today, her children gather near the sacred Lake Karim, preparing to welcome your soul into their midst. They are excited to show you around their world and share with you their knowledge of the cosmos, which stretches as far as their eyes can see. Are you ready to begin your journey? Then step into the boat. Welcome to Egypt. The sun hung low over the Nile Valley, bleeding gold and rose into the horizon. As the world slowly exhaled into twilight, everything around you softened, the wind over the papyrus reeds, the ripple of the ancient river, the hush of distant voices carried over water. You stood there, barefoot on the warm, silty bank, your breath in rhythm with the quiet world around you. It was a place beyond time, a place where the days moved slowly, as if measured in dreams. The breeze stirred your robe gently, as if even the wind knew to tread quietly here. Palms stood like tall sentinels, silhouetted against the fading light, their leaves whispering stories older than memory. In the distance, across the river, you saw the outline of a village, its mud brick houses glowing orange in the setting sun, smoke curling lazily from one or two chimneys. You imagined warm bread being pulled from clay ovens, the laughter of children, the slow creak of water wheels turning. But tonight was not a night for villages. It was a night for drifting. A small boat waited for you, a slender, reed-crafted vessel tied to a weathered post at the edge of the water. Its sail was furled, its oars tucked inside like sleeping arms. It rocked gently as if sighing in its sleep, ready to take you somewhere you didn't yet understand. With a calm heart and slower steps, you approached and stepped aboard. The wood creaked softly under your weight, not a protest, but a welcome. You pushed away from the shore. The river accepted you without a ripple. The moment you drifted from the bank, time loosened its grip. The sounds of the world faded behind you. No voices, no footsteps, no bird song, just the endless lapping of the Nile and the sigh of the wind moving through the reeds. The air smelled of water and sand and something floral, maybe lotus. You leaned back, letting your fingers dangle over the edge of the boat. The river was cool, smooth, and endless. The stars began to rise, one by one, ancient companions in the darkening sky. You watched them the same way the pharaohs once watched, wondering if they were gods or memories or something else entirely. Somewhere in the distance, the soft hum of a temple chant floated toward you. It was not loud, not sharp, just a ripple in the air, a vibration older than words, a sound that felt like it belonged in your bones. You closed your eyes and let it wash over you. And as the boat gently rocked, it was as though the Nile itself was singing. The song was about journeys, of crossing not just lands, but lifetimes, of moving from the known into the unknown, not with fear, but with trust. You felt safe, not because there were no dangers, but because this place had seen everything, empires rise and fall, stars born and extinguished, lives lived and forgotten, and it remembered all of it. You were not here to conquer or to learn. You were here to float, to listen, to rest. The boat drifted on, slow and sure, as if guided by something unseen. Lotus flowers bobbed around you, their pale petals opening in the night. You reached out and touched one. It felt like silk, impossibly soft. Its perfume was subtle and hypnotic. Your breathing slowed, your muscles softened. The world had melted into water, wind, and stars. Time no longer moved in minutes or hours. It moved in ripples, in dreams. As your boat glided gently onward, a breeze brushed your face, cool and fragrant, like the scent of forgotten gardens. You looked up and saw a heron winging silently across the moonlit sky, a white arrow in the dark. Its presence felt like a blessing. The Nile was becoming wider now, darker, quieter, You let your eyes rest on the horizon where the river met the night. It shimmered with a silver sheen, and for a moment, it didn't feel like water at all, but more like a path made of stars. Somewhere deep inside you, a door opened. You didn't know to what. You didn't need to. All you had to do was float and breathe and let go. With every heartbeat, your body sank deeper into rest. The oars lay untouched. The sail remained furled, and still the boat moved forward as if the river itself carried you like a cradle. There was no destination, no map. Only this slow surrender. Only this drifting into a dream older than history. A dream written in the sand and stars. You awake gasping for breath. You look around confused. Where am I? What happened? You don't remember entering the temple. Was it a dream? No, you feel yourself. You are too sore. You try to stand but stumble and fall. Your legs are weak. You need rest. You lie back down. Memories flood back. You remember the market, the hustle and bustle of people trying to scam you, grabbing your arm. You winced, shaking off the pain. That old fool won't get away with that. You remember pushing him away angrily, and then the darkness. Your head pounded. Maybe he hit your head when you fell. But you don't have any money. That old fool took it all. Suddenly, the memories come flooding back. The old man, his beady eyes gleaming with trickery, holding your coin purse aloft. His smile wide, baring teeth stained with age and tobacco. You, outraged and ready to fight. And then the dizziness, the pain, the darkness. The last thing you remember was the ground rushing up to meet you. But how did you get here? You push yourself up on an elbow, noticing the hieroglyphics carved into the walls around you. You recognize the symbols of Ra, the scarab, the Eye of Horus. This is a temple, but which one? You struggle to your feet, weaving slightly, and stumble toward the exit. The air grows lighter, the dim oil lamp flickering above your head, casting dancing shadows. You step out into the brilliant sunlight, blinking against the glare. Disoriented, you look around. You are on a busy street, vendors, peddlers, and tourists crowding the narrow thoroughfare. Sound, smells, and colors assault your senses. You close your eyes, trying to sort it out. When you open them, you know exactly where you are. You are in the bustling city of Aswan. You pull your cart out into the midday sun, squinting against the glare. In front of you sprawls the most breathtaking view imaginable, the sparkling waters of the Nile, the emerald green of palm trees lining the shore, and in the distance the first rays of dawn touching the majestic abyss-symbol temples. The sky is alive with color, the clouds painted in hues of pink and gold as the sun rises over the horizon. In the stillness of the morning, you hear the gentle lapping of the river against the boat, the soft bleating of goats, and the distant call to prayer echoing across the valley. The air is filled with the scent of jasmine and spices, a heady mix that stirs memories of ancient times. You stand transfixed, feeling a profound sense of peace wash over you. The chaos of the world fades away, leaving only the tranquil beauty of this moment. You turn to your companion, your face breaking into a wide smile. You have arrived. We hope you enjoyed your journey back in time. If you want to explore more historical places, please subscribe. The night was a blanket of velvet, sprinkled with diamonds. The air, cool and fragrant, whispered secrets of ages past as your small boat glided through the heart of Egypt. You sat in the bow, bare feet resting on the worn wood, eyes fixed on the path ahead. The current was your guide, leading you deeper into the embrace of the river. The moon, full and radiant, bathed the world in silver, turning the familiar Nile into something magical. Its light painted the water, turning it into a shimmering ribbon. The gentle rocking of the boat, the hypnotic sway of the reeds on the bank, the melody of crickets, all combined to lull your senses. The faintest breeze caressed your skin, carrying the sweet scent of water lily and the earthy aroma of papyrus. It was a symphony of moonlight and magic, and you were its only audience. The river seemed to wind around your fate. As the hours slipped by, the surroundings grew darker, the playful banter of daytime giving way to the hushed whispers of the night. Overhead, the sky deepened into a velvety black, studded with countless stars that twinkled like celestial fireflies. The great river flowed on, oblivious to the passage of time, mirroring the endless expanse of the cosmos. You felt as though you were journeying not just through the physical world, but through time itself. With each stroke of the oars, the familiar landscape dissolved into the mists of the past. The river was alive, pulsing with a rhythm older than time. Its banks were aligned with ancient trees that reached out like gnarled fingers, their leaves rustling secrets to any who would listen. The starlight filtering through the branches painted dappled patterns on the water, turning the river into a liquid mosaic. The boat glided on, a tiny vessel navigating the timeless flow. The river was your only companion, the stars your only witness. And in the depths of this watery labyrinth, something stirred within you. It was as if the river itself was calling to some ancient part of your soul, beckoning you to a place where the boundaries between past and present blurred. You found yourself leaning forward, your gaze fixed on the mist-shrouded waters ahead, your entire being focused on the journey. The river had a story to tell, and you were becoming its captive audience. The mist parted suddenly, revealing a sight so unexpected that you gasped. Before you stood the silhouette of a forgotten temple, its outline stark against the luminous backdrop of the night. It was as if the river had orchestrated this moment, drawing you to this place with an unseen hand. The temple, cloaked in shadows, exuded an aura of mystery, its presence both imposing and alluring. You couldn't recall seeing it before during your many journeys on the Nile. Its sudden emergence from the mist felt like a revelation, a secret the river had kept hidden until now. The temple seemed to blend seamlessly with the darkness, yet it emanated a faint luminescence, as though the very stones within it glowed with an inner light. This was no ordinary structure. This was a sanctuary of secrets, a repository of stories that had slept beneath the river's surface for centuries. Curiosity battled with caution in your chest. The allure of the unknown was strong, but the wisdom of your years cautioned against hasty actions. Still, the pull was undeniable. You felt compelled to explore, to uncover the mysteries that lay within the temple's silent embrace. With a mix of trepidation and excitement, you directed the boat towards the temple's shadowy shores. The oars dipped into the water, each stroke bringing you closer to the unknown. The river, once your sole companion, now seemed to be guiding you towards a destiny you couldn't quite comprehend. The boat touched the shore, and you stepped out into the darkness, the cool night air sending a shiver down your spine. The sound of your own footsteps echoed in the stillness, the only interruption to the river's gentle song. You stood at the threshold of the unknown, about to step into a world untouched by time. Your path was illuminated only by the ethereal glow emanating from the temple itself. It beckoned to you, promising revelations that transcended the boundaries of the physical world. With every step you took, the air grew colder, carrying the scent of ancient rituals and forgotten lore. The ground beneath your feet was rough and uneven, a testament to the countless seasons that had passed since these stones were first erected. The entrance to the temple loomed before you, an imposing archway carved with cryptic symbols. It was as though the very stones themselves were imbued with watchful eyes, observing your every move. The passage beyond the archway was shrouded in impenetrable darkness. The faint glow from the temple's depths was your only light, inviting you to venture into the unknown. Hesitantly, you reached out, your fingers tracing the weathered carvings. The symbols hummed with an energy that resonated deep within you, awakening memories that you didn't know you possessed. As you stepped into the darkness, the river receded, the sounds of the night fading into a distant echo. You were enveloped in an oppressive silence, broken only by the pounding of your own heart. The darkness was absolute, impenetrable, pressing in from all sides. Fear threatened to consume you, whispering tales of ancient curses and restless spirits. But curiosity, that insatiable thirst for knowledge, drove you forward. You felt your way along the damp walls, the rough stone offering scant comfort in the suffocating darkness. Suddenly, a glimmer of light pierced the gloom ahead. Hope surged through you, chasing away the shadows of fear. With renewed determination, you quickened your pace, moving towards the faint illumination. The passage opened up into a vast chamber, and there before you, bathed in an otherworldly glow, was a pool of still water. Its surface shimmered like a sheet of polished obsidian, reflecting the myriad hues of the night sky. The pool was your first revelation in this subterranean realm, but it was not just a body of water. It was a portal, a gateway to realms beyond your own. As you gazed into its fathomless depths, you saw not just the reflection of the night sky, but a panorama of swirling colors and shifting shapes. It was as if the pool delved into the very essence of existence, revealing the infinite possibilities that lay dormant within. Your reflection stared back, an apparition from another world. As you leaned closer, the boundary between observer and observed blurred. You reached out, your fingers meeting the surface, the water cold and still. The pool rippled ever so slightly, as if acknowledging your touch, then stilled again, its secrets held close. You knew instinctively that this was no ordinary pool. It was a nexus of power, a point where the fabric of reality was thinnest. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is an honor to be able to bring this type of content to people who are looking for ways to relax. If you're new to my videos, please consider subscribing so you can be notified when I upload a new experience. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button because that really helps my channel. Now let's begin our journey. Rest your forehead against the cool smoothness of wood and close your eyes. Feel the sturdy strength of the papyrus boat beneath you. Let your body sink into the gentle rocking motion of the waves. Let your fingers curl around the rope handhold. Allow your awareness to fade into the soft sound surrounding you. Behind you, the temple of the hush of the wind is sinking slowly into the mist. The great pillars fading to hazy towers and then mere blurs on the horizon. The stars above you seem to dim, glowing softly like giant embers drifting on the endless dark. In front of you, the path of the Milky Way guides your way, shimmering ribbon winding between jewel-like constellations. To either side, pinpricks of starlight glitter, seeming close enough to reach out and touch. Beside you, the calming murmur of the night wind weaves tales of ages past. Ancient songs carried on currents unseen, wrestling through reeds and whispering across the darkening waters. The night grows deep. As you sail deeper into the hush of the desert night, the soft voice of the wind carries ancient whispers across the dunes, and the guardians begin to stir. Feel the slight tilt of the boat as it drifts on, guided by nothing more than the invisible hand of the river and the hush of the wind. Let go of any sense of direction. There is no need to steer, to row, or to guide. Surrender to the current. The temple behind you had vanished into the mist, and the stars above glowed ever more softly, like gentle eyes watching over your journey. The Nile had grown quieter now, wider. The sound of water lapping against the hull became slower, deeper, as if the river too had begun to sleep. You lay back in the boat, your eyes half closed, your breath matching the slow rhythm of the waves. Your limbs were weightless. You could feel your body melting into the wood beneath you, and for a moment, you weren't sure where you ended and the boat began. The desert stretched out on both sides now, endless waves of sand, faintly glowing under the pale wash of moonlight. The wind had picked up ever so slightly, not enough to disturb, but enough to carry a sound. A whisper. You couldn't understand the words, not yet, but they were there. Soft, flowing, winding between the dunes like threads of silk. The boat gently nudged the edge of the riverbank, slowing to a stop once more. You sat up, glancing at the shore. No village, no temple. Just a vast stretch of golden sand and, in the distance, shapes, still and silent. You stepped out again, feet touching the cool surface of ancient stone, smooth and round beneath the layer of drifting sand. As you walked, the sand shifted, uncovering the path as if it remembered you. The wind began to hum, and the whispers grew clearer. Not voices in the air, but voices inside the stone, the sand, the stillness. You followed. Every few steps you passed shapes in the dunes, statues half buried, their forms weathered but watchful. Eyes carved from obsidian, wings tucked against lion-shaped bodies. Human hands holding staffs, their arms outstretched like guardians caught mid-blessing. These were the guardians of the sand whisper, not protectors of treasure, not defenders of gates, but guardians of dreams, of memory, of silence. Their eyes did not follow you, and yet you felt seen, known, welcomed. You moved deeper among them. A warm breeze swept past, carrying the scent of cinnamon and desert flowers. The stars above seemed closer now, as if they, too, leaned in to listen. You came to a circle of stones, ancient and perfectly arranged, their centers hollowed into shallow bowls. Within each, a small flame danced silently, no smoke, no scent. Just soft golden fire, as if each flame were dreaming quietly to itself. You sat in the center of the circle, the wind quieted again, and for a while there was no sound but your breath and the breath of the desert. You closed your eyes, and the whispers became clearer. Still not words, not exactly, but understandings. A feeling of peace, of being part of something timeless, of knowing that even the wind remembers. You heard stories, not from mouths, but from memory, of travelers who once came here in search of nothing and found everything, of night wanderers who listened to the wind and came away healed, of the desert herself, holding your thoughts like grains of sand in her gentle hand. The statues around you stood still, their silence not cold, but kind. They did not need to speak. They did not need to move. Their presence alone was enough. You breathed in deeply, and as you exhaled, you felt something lift from you, a weight you didn't know you carried. A heaviness behind your eyes, a tightness in your chest. It simply rose and vanished into the wind. You laid back upon the sand. The grains cradled you like warm powder, shifting just enough to form the perfect mold for your body. Your arms rested at your sides, palms open. Your heart slowed, each beat more distant than the last, not in danger, but in peace. Above, the stars blinked in unison. The statues seemed to lean closer, and the wind whispered one last song. You're safe here. You're seen. You're a part of the silence that remembers everything. You did not need to reply. Sleep was answering for you. Your eyelids were heavy now, too heavy to open. The wind kissed your cheek like a mother saying goodnight, and far off, you heard the gentle splash of your boat waiting at the shore. It would wait as long as needed. The river had no clock, the desert had no urgency. Here, in the arms of the guardians and the whispering sand, the world stopped turning. It simply rested with you, and all you had to do was drift deeper and deeper into the dream waiting beyond the dunes. Welcome to the realm of dreams. Today's tale is one of secrets buried deep beneath the sands of time, a secret known only to the desert winds and the silent stars. Are you ready to dive into the depths of this mystical journey? Let's begin. Beneath the endless dunes, a secret stirs, not of gold, but of green. A hidden garden awakens, where time dissolves and dreams bloom in silence. You find yourself adrift on a narrow boat, navigating the tranquil waters of the Nile. The desert wind, your sole companion, whispers tales of forgotten ages past. The air cools, signaling the approach of night. And as the last rays of sunlight surrender to the horizon, the sky transforms into a canvas of velvet, strewn with a million glittering stars. The sand on the riverbank shimmers, mimicking the celestial display overhead. With the dying embers of twilight, your boat glides serenely, guided by the silent wisdom of the ancient river. The only sounds are the gentle lapping of water against the hull and the soft sigh of the wind through the reeds along the shore. The breath of the desert carried you back to your boat, its warmth still lingering on your skin like a soft lullaby. The wind was quieter now, not gone, but gentler, like it had said all it needed to say for the night. You stepped back into your boat. The moment your feet touched the wooden deck, the river responded with a faint, knowing ripple. No need for oars, no need to steer. The Nile understood where you needed to go. And so the boat turned, gliding once more into the waiting current. Your head rested against a woven cushion. The wood creaked softly beneath you, familiar now, almost like the arms of an old friend. Above, the stars shimmered silver and slow, but below, something was stirring. You drifted into a strange stillness. A stillness that felt deeper than sleep, deeper than the river, deeper than anything above ground. As your eyes grew heavier, your breath slower, the boat seemed to pass not just along the surface of the Nile, but beneath it, not into water, but into something beneath the sand. The sound of water faded, replaced by birdsong, soft chirps, gentle rustling, petals falling. When your eyes opened again, the boat was still, resting beside a strange and impossible shore. The sand around you was gone, replaced by moss, vines, tiny wildflowers glowing faintly in the moonlight. You stepped off onto soft, spongy ground. It cradled your steps as if welcoming your presence. The air was warmer here, scented with orange blossoms, myrrh, and something sweet and unfamiliar, like dreams made into perfume. You had arrived at the garden beneath the sand. It should not exist. And yet, here it was, lush, alive, hidden from time. Trees with silver leaves swayed without wind. A stream trickled through beds of flowering reeds, its waters glowing a soft turquoise. Giant lily pads floated peacefully in still pools, their undersides lit by some inner light. You felt no need to speak, no need to question. Your thoughts had grown quieter than ever, less like words, more like floating impressions. Everything around you was alive, but not loudly, not frantically, just present. You wandered slowly, passing beneath arching trees with golden bark and trailing vines. Some petals drifted through the air and landed in your hair, weightless and warm. They didn't feel like normal petals. They felt like pieces of memory. You came to a small clearing where the grass was short and thick, and in its center sat an ancient stone seat, worn smooth, as if many dreamers before you had found their way here too. You sat, not out of weariness, but out of stillness. And the garden welcomed your stillness. Somewhere close, a bird with feathers like moonlight let out a single low note, as if it were sighing on your behalf. Fireflies danced in a slow circle near the vines, their light pulsing like a heartbeat. Not rushed, not fast, just steady. You leaned your head back and looked up. There was no sky here, only a soft dome of light like the underside of a shell made from ancient stars. The color shifted slowly, lavender to sapphire to silver, matching the rhythm of your breath. You closed your eyes, and you began to remember, not memories from your own life, but from dreams you had forgotten. A garden you'd once walked in as a child, not real but vivid. A place from a story your grandmother once whispered to you half asleep. A scent from a night long gone, when the world felt magical for reasons you never understood. All of it returned, not like a flood, but like dew forming silently on the leaves of your mind, each memory a blossom, each thought a petal. This place was not about time. It was about soul. This was where dreams grew before they reached the world above. You opened your eyes again and saw that the plants had changed. The flowers now shimmered in the shapes of thoughts, spirals, stars, and soft, floating symbols. The garden was listening to your quietness and answering in beauty. You stood slowly and wandered to the stream, where the water was so clear it barely seemed real. You knelt and touched it. It wasn't cold. It was cool in the way moonlight is cool, refreshing without chill. You brought your fingers to your lips and tasted it. It tasted like stillness, like a forgotten lullaby. You smiled softly, not out of joy, but from peace. The kind of peace that only comes when all noise has gone. From the edge of the garden, the boat waited again. Always waiting, always gentle. You walked back slowly, your hands brushing against soft leaves and sleeping petals. They responded to your touch, gently opening or glowing briefly, not to impress, only to say, "We see you." You stepped into the boat and it began to move. But this time, it didn't feel like sailing. It felt like floating back upward, not through water, but through layers of night, through layers of calm. You were rising, returning, but taking the garden with you in your heart. You glanced once over your shoulder, and though the garden was fading, its feeling remained. You could feel it blooming still, inside your chest, like a soft light behind your ribs. A light that would guide your dreams long after the story ended. And once again, the Nile returned. The boat rocked. The stars blinked, and you breathed, softly, steadily, ready now to sleep more deeply, ready to surrender completely. For there were more dreams to come, and the river was still moving. And with that, our journey through the mystical garden beneath the sand draws to a close. What secrets did you uncover in the depths of your own dreams? Did you find solace in the garden's timeless embrace? Share your experiences, your interpretations, and any dreams you've had in the comments below. Your engagement fuels our creativity. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to show your support. Your likes and shares resonate with the universe and help us deliver more enchanting stories. Thanks for joining us today. Until next time, may your nights be filled with peaceful dreams and your days with the magic of storytelling. As the river carries you further into the heart of sleep, the boat begins to change, no longer a simple vessel, but something ancient, sacred, and alive with memory. And then, deeper still, when the current wraps around you like a shroud, enveloping all sound in sight, you feel weightless. Not just your body, but your mind. All thoughts had softened now into feelings, and even those were beginning to float away, like petals carried on slow-moving water. The air is heavy with the scent of blooming night, the river flowing silently around you, the boat gliding effortlessly along the current, but something has shifted. Something stirs within the depths of your awareness. You open your eyes slowly. The world around you is shrouded in darkness, but you can sense the river's rhythm like a heartbeat beneath you. The boat seems to be moving with its own will, not needing your guidance, but taking its own path through the inky blackness. The water beneath you shimmered like liquid obsidian, quiet and calm, reflecting the constellations above like a mirror to the cosmos. You feel the gentle rocking of the boat, the lapping of the water against its hull, and you hear a distant sound like the murmur of voices echoing from far away. Curiosity piqued. You turn your head towards the sound, trying to make out the words they're saying. Are they calling out to you? The river flows on, silent and steady, guiding you deeper into the embrace of night. The boat drifts on, cradled by the dark waters, and the voices seem to come closer. Are they approaching you, or are you drifting towards them? The line between waking and dreaming blurs. Your eyelids grow heavy. It feels as if the darkness itself is wrapping around you, enveloping you in its cool embrace. You feel a sense of peace wash over you, a tranquility you have never known before. Surrender to it and let it carry you deeper into the heart of sleep. When you awake, you're in a place that is both familiar and strange. The landscape around you shimmers and changes with an ethereal glow. The river flows through a lush valley bathed in the soft light of dawn. Majestic trees with leaves of silver reach towards the sky, and flowers with petals of gold and crimson dot the landscape. The air is filled with the sweet melody of unseen birds, and the river sparkles like a ribbon of liquid sunlight. You look down at your hands, and they seem to shimmer with the same ethereal glow as the surroundings. What has happened to you? Where are you? Before you can ponder these questions any further, you notice a small figure standing by the riverbank. The figure turns, and you see a wise old man with kind eyes and a long white beard. He smiles at you warmly. Can you help me? Are you real, or am I still dreaming? The old man speaks in a voice that echoes with wisdom. This is the river of dreams, he says. You have journeyed to the heart of sleep. Before you can respond, the old man gestures towards the shimmering flower bushes. Rest now and regain your strength. When you are ready, we will speak further. You hesitate for a moment, torn between the desire to understand what is happening to you and the allure of rest. But the call of the river is strong, and you find yourself drifting back into sleep. When you awake again, you are still in the magical realm, but now the sky above is filled with brilliant stars. The river sparkles with celestial light, and the trees sway gently as if dancing with the stars. You feel a profound sense of peace and clarity. You are not alone. The old man is back, and he invites you to sit beside him on a nearby stone. Welcome to the river of dreams, he says. Here in the realm of sleep, you have journeyed to the deepest parts of your subconscious, where the boundaries between dreams and reality blur. He pauses, allowing his words to sink in. You have crossed the threshold into the unknown, and now you must choose your path forward. The old man explains that the river of dreams is a place of infinite possibilities, where your deepest desires and fears take shape, and where the echoes of your past self resonate through the currents. Your journey here is a reflection of your inner world, a testament to the power of your dreams and the strength of your spirit. As the old man speaks, you feel a sense of wonder and excitement. You realize that you are not merely a passive observer in this realm, but an active participant. Your journey here is not by chance, but by choice. What do you seek in this place? The old man asks, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. What truths do you long to uncover? You close your eyes, pondering his words. You don't have all the answers, but you know that you want to explore this magical realm, to discover its secrets, and to understand the messages it holds for you. The old man nods understandingly. Then let us begin, he says, rising from his seat. Follow me deep into the heart of the river. Hand gestures, you step into the glistening water. It feels cool and refreshing on your skin, and you feel a sense of rejuvenation flow through you. The old man walks ahead of you, his white beard flowing in the river's gentle current. The water rises around your ankles, then calves, and soon you are waist deep in the shimmering stream. The old man stops and turns to face you. This is the place of crossroads, he says, gesturing to the swirling mists that lie ahead. From here, many paths stretch before you, each leading to different realms of your subconscious. He pauses, allowing these words to sink in. The path you choose to walk will reveal your deepest desires and fears. Looking back, you see the old man has vanished, and the mists swirl invitingly before you. You take a deep breath and step forward, surrendering to the unknown. As you wade deeper into the mist, the scenery around you begins to shift and change. You find yourself in a lush garden filled with vibrant flowers and exotic plants. In the distance, you hear the gentle strumming of a harp, and the sweet melody draws you towards it. As you follow the music, you see a beautiful woman sitting on a nearby stone. She has long flowing hair the color of moonlight, and her eyes sparkle with otherworldly light. The woman looks up and smiles warmly at you. Welcome to the Garden of Enchantment, she says. I am the Keeper of Dreams. The Keeper tells you that in this place, your wildest dreams and deepest desires take shape. She encouraged you to explore this realm and to discover what truly brings you joy and fulfillment, but there is a catch. To fully experience the magic of this realm, you must let go of your doubts and fears. You must surrender to the present moment and trust in the journey. As you spend time in the garden, you feel a sense of lightness and freedom. You laugh and dance among the enchanted plants and flowers, and you feel a deep sense of contentment. You realize that you have the power to create your own happiness and that you should never stop believing in the power of dreams. But as the day wears on, the shadows grow longer and the music becomes more haunting. You feel a sense of unease creep over you, and the joyful laughter of the garden seems to fade into the distance. The keeper of dreams appears beside you, her eyes filled with concern. "It is time for you to move forward," she says gently. "The river calls to you, and there are still more lessons to be learned." With a heavy heart, you say goodbye to the garden and step back into the swirling mists. The river continues its journey towards the endless sea, and you follow its path deeper into the heart of sleep. And the place where the moon touches the river opens into forever. I hope you find your way there often. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for listening. If you liked this story, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. It makes such a difference. Also, I'd love to hear what you think of this story. So please leave a comment. This story was inspired by an actual trip down the river Nile and by the legends about the river from ancient Egypt. I hope it brought you some peace and maybe a little bit of magic. Okay, let's dive into today's story. The boat had become so still that even the water no longer moved around it. You floated in silence, not drifting forward, not pulled by current, simply suspended in a hush so deep, it felt like the world was holding its breath. Above you, the moon hung low, larger now, full and glowing with quiet strength. Its silver light touched the river softly, and the moment it did, the water responded, glowing in thin ripples, spreading outward from that single point where moon met Nile. It was not just light, it was memory. The silver shimmer spilled across the surface like threads of silk, weaving into gentle shapes, spirals, lotuses, crescent boats. Symbols older than stone, signs only the soul could read. You sat up slowly in your boat, the cushions cool beneath your hands. There was no wind, yet the water glimmered and stirred, not from motion, but from meaning. Where the moonlight touched the river, it opened, not into depths, not into sky, but into inwardness. You felt it pull at you, not with force, but with invitation. Like a whisper through a curtain, like a doorway drawn in shadow, the boat responded too. It turned. Not with a creak or splash, just a shift, like a thought redirecting itself. And it began to move toward the place where the moon touched the river. As you approached, the glow deepened. The light wasn't blinding, it was soothing, cool. It poured into your eyes like water poured into a calm bowl. And the sound of the river changed too, from gentle lapping to a soft chime, like glass being sung by the wind. Then you reached it, the place where the moon and river became one, and the boat stopped, not with hesitation, with reverence. You stood slowly. At the center of the glow, the river no longer looked like water. It looked like glass, and beneath it you saw something unexpected, not fish, not reeds, but sky. A perfect mirror of the heavens below the water's skin. You leaned closer, and the surface gave way, not wet, not cold, just gone. Like stepping through a reflection, your foot passed into it, then your hand, then your breath, then your thoughts. And suddenly, you weren't on the river anymore. You were beneath it, floating gently through a world of light and silence, like a bubble caught between sleep and dream. Everything here was silver blue and weightless. You looked around, but there were no walls, no floor, just slow, endless shimmer. And within the shimmer, shapes, figures, not people, not exactly. They were made of light. They moved like thoughts, slowly circling around one another in a quiet dance. each one glowing with a slightly different hue: lavender, deep gold, pale jade, soft rose. They didn't look at you, they didn't need to. They knew you were there, and they welcomed you. You floated past them, through them, as if carried on the river of their movement. Their presence didn't ask for attention. It simply reassured you you were safe, you were seen. You were in the place between breaths. In this place, sound had no edges. Every vibration was smooth, round, and soft. You heard something, not music, but tone. A long, low humming chord that vibrated not through your ears, but through your chest, your ribs, your heartbeat. It was the song of the moon, the sound of being held. Then the figures began to part, slowly, creating a circle. At the center floated a shape, not solid, not fluid. It was a mirror. But it didn't reflect your body. It reflected your peace. You saw yourself not sleeping, not moving, just still. Completely still, like a memory before it forms. And as you looked at it, your breathing slowed again, deeper than before. In, hold, out, like the moon breathes, like the river breathes. And slowly, the light around the mirror pulsed once, twice, then dimmed, not disappearing, just releasing. The floating beings began to fade too, not vanishing, but folding into themselves, like stars going home. And you felt your body rise, not fly, not swim, just rise back toward the surface, back toward the silver kiss of moonlight on the water, back toward the boat. You emerged slowly, weightlessly, like mist drifting upward. And when your head rested once more against the boat's cushion, it felt softer than before. Like clouds gathered by hand, your fingers relaxed, your shoulders loosened, your thoughts unknotted completely. The boat was already moving again, drifting on, carrying you toward whatever dreams lay ahead, but you were no longer waiting for anything. You had already touched stillness. You had already entered the moon, and now you would sleep, not to escape, but to remember. And as the story drifted to its ending, so does our time together come to a close. Before you go, I have a small gift for you. A free guided meditation called Finding Stillness in the Storm, which will help you tap into the kind of inner peace that the character in the story finds on the river. Head over to my website to grab the audio, and know that while we may be parting ways here, the magic of this story, the power of the moon, and the wisdom of the river flow within you always. Until next time, may your days be filled with light, may your nights be filled with dreams, and may you always find your way back to the river, wherever that may be. A woman walks alone along the bank of a river. Her footsteps are soft. She wears no shoes. Her hair flows like the water. Her eyes hold the sky. She is beautiful, strong, peaceful. She has been walking for days, days she can no longer count. Since she left everything familiar behind, she has walked until there was nothing left but the river and the road that follows its path. And now the trees grow quiet around her. The sun sinks lower. Soon, shadows will fall, but the river keeps flowing on and on. And finally, when the light is almost gone, she sees it. On the other side of the water, something waits for her. The river bends before it as if in reverence. It might be a temple, a monument, an altar, a doorway. But she doesn't know. She has never seen it before, yet somehow she feels that she always knew it would be there. With renewed energy, she crosses the last fields, climbs over the last hills. The river broadens. The unseen presence grows larger. And as the moon replaces the sun, she finally reaches the bank opposite the mysterious waiting place. Stepping into the shallow water, she sees that the river has brought her a gift. A small boat made of wood, polished smooth by countless journeys across the water. It sits silently inviting her. With bare feet, she steps inside. The wood is cool, dry, familiar, like an old friend. Then, with a push of her hand, she lets the current take her across. The closer she gets to her destination, the more the river seems to calm. The water softens. The current slows. Time itself seems to drift. When she reaches the other side, the river is still and deep. The boat drifts to a stop against the waiting presence. Rising to her feet, she steps onto the welcoming stone, onto the first step of a long flight of stairs. Carved into the living rock, they wind downwards. And as she begins to descend, the presence reveals itself. An ancient palace carved into the mountainside, disappearing into darkness. With every step she takes, the palace welcomes her deeper. Within, she walks farther and farther from the world she once knew, until she stands before a great throne of smooth black stone. At its center, a single eye, blazing silver, watches patiently. Before it, a bowl of water perfectly still. Around her, the walls echo with voices from long ago, whispers of wisdom, fragments of forgotten stories. And she knows instinctively what she must do. She dips her hands into the still water and closes her eyes. Her reflection disappears. When she opens them again, she sees only the eye watching her, waiting for her to speak. And so she does. She speaks everything she has held inside for so long. Her words are tired, they are afraid, they are hopeful. They are filled with love. And as she pours out her heart to the patient eye, she feels herself relaxing, shedding burdens she no longer needs to carry, releasing tears she no longer needs to cry. When her voice is spent, she rests her hands on the edge of the bowl. Nothing ripples on the surface. Nothing moves, not even the eye. Only the echoes of her words linger in the vast chamber. And then the eye pulses with silver light. The water ripples. The palace trembles. And suddenly the world shifts. The walls dissolve. The stairs vanish. The throne room becomes a garden bathed in moonlight. Trees and flowers burst forth from the rock, reaching for the sky. A waterfall pours its song into the night. Birds awake and sing. Creatures stir from their slumber. The palace is no longer carved from stone, but from living, breathing trees. It moves and breathes with the earth, with the sky, with the very pulse of the world. And the woman walks inside. She wanders through archways woven from leaves, over bridges of sparkling dew, past flowers that open their petals to greet her. Everywhere, life spills forth in a glorious celebration. And at the heart of it all, she sees him. He waits for her, his eyes shining with starlight, his hair a crown of leaves and blossoms, his skin the color of sun-warmed earth. And she just knows that he has been waiting for her forever. But how long is forever? How long is a river's journey? How long is a lifetime? Who can measure such things? Not in hours, not in years. Not with beginnings or endings. Forever is timeless. It is endless. It is the space between breaths. It is the stillness that holds infinite dreams. She walks toward him, and he meets her halfway, enveloping her in the strongest embrace she has ever known. His touch is the earth, the sky, the river. His presence is the light, the warmth, the joy. And as he holds her close, as she rests against his beating heart, as she loses herself in his fathomless eyes, she knows that they have always been together, that they always will be, that there is nowhere else they would rather be, that there is nothing else they would rather do. For in this timeless place, beyond rules and beyond reason, there is only the depth of love, the quiet strength of the earth, the endless flow of the river, the wisdom of the ages, the mystery of the divine, and the endless unfolding of eternity. Here, all is as it should be. All is as it always has been. There's no fear, no struggle, no striving, only peace. Time ceases to exist because in the silent heart of the river's journey, a flame flickers without smoke and a feather floats without wind, guiding you into the stillness where truth weighs nothing at all. I am honored to introduce to you today's very special guest. Welcome to our show, Professor James Kavanaugh. Today we're talking about, I don't know how we got here, but we're going to talk about how you actually impact other people's lives without knowing it. We've been hearing this idea for a long time. Our grandparents told us to be kind to others because you never know what they're going through. That was just be nice to people. But this idea has a much bigger implication when you think about it, doesn't it? How you treat a total stranger can have an impact on their life. The professor is the author of multiple books, including The Kindness of Strangers, which looks at extraordinary stories of altruism. His latest book, The Ripple Effect, Why One Kind Act Can Make a Difference, shows the ripple effects of kindness and how our actions have a huge impact on others. Thank you so much for being here today, Professor. Thank you for having me. You have written extensively about human relationships. Can you talk to us about what led you to write this book? Well, I wrote my first book, The Kindness of Strangers, because I wanted to remind people that if you're ever stuck somewhere or you need help, people will come to your rescue. And I wanted to remind people to be kind to strangers because they might need your help someday. So that was the first book. But over the years, I realized there was something else going on. There's some things that people do, acts of kindness that really change people's lives forever. And I wanted to write about those, so I wrote my second book. And then I thought, well, I want to expand it even more. If people can be impacted forever by one person's kindness, what happens when someone does something bad? What happens then? And so that led me to write my third book. So your first book was called The Kindness of Strangers. The second book was called Acts of Kindness. And the third one is a little bit darker. The Shadow of Witnesses. Right. Yeah. Because I wanted to explore, sometimes people do horrible things. And sometimes those horrible things happen to people who are good, decent people. And I wanted to remind people that, look, we don't want to judge people. We don't know what forces they're battling. So be kind to everyone, even if they've done something terrible. Have you found while writing these 3 books that there is a trend of negativity out there, or are people still mostly good? Well, I think overall people are good. But there's a lot of nastiness out there. But I also believe that if people realize they're doing something that's hurtful, they will stop. How does one random act of kindness change a person's life? Can you give us an example from your book? Well, sure. In my new book, there's a story about a guy he was going to prison. He committed a crime. He deserved to go to prison, but his wife was pregnant and she miscarried after he went to jail, and he blamed himself. He was in prison for 7 years, but every day he would write a letter to his unborn child, explaining what a great parent he would have been, how much he loved the baby, how much he wished he could meet the baby. And he sent these letters to his wife. And when he got out of prison, he opened up his first letter, and his wife had saved all the letters, and he realized, wow, I missed a lot of important stuff. But you know what? I became a better father because I wrote these letters, and he's now a wonderful father. Do you think that's a common thing? That sometimes you have to go through really tough things to learn lessons? Oh, yeah. If you've ever taken a child and you put them in a playpen, you put the kid in the playpen and the kid cries, but then the kid starts to explore the playpen, and eventually the kid stops crying and starts playing. So kids learn lessons by trying and failing and learning from that failure and trying again. And I think that's how we learn as humans too. Is there a story from one of your books that has stuck with you? Well, in my second book, I tell the story of a young man named Jesse. And Jesse was in college, and he was hanging out with some friends, and they were just laughing and joking. And they decided to throw a snowball at a homeless man. And they didn't know I was watching. I was undercover. I was writing a story about homeless people. And I watched them throw this snowball at a guy and hit him in the head. And I said, okay, I'm getting out of here. But then Jesse couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't concentrate on school. And he started having panic attacks. And he didn't know what was wrong. And finally, he goes to see a counselor. And the counselor says, You have survivor's remorse. And Jesse said, I don't feel guilty about throwing the snowball, but the counselor said, you should because you don't know what you hit that man with. He could have died. And then Jesse said, I don't know if I could live with myself if I killed a homeless man. And so then Jesse goes and finds the homeless man, and luckily he wasn't hurt. And Jesse apologizes profusely. And the man said, listen, I get thrown snowballs all the time. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. But then Jesse brings him food and he brings him money. And eventually he becomes the homeless man's advocate. And he graduates with a degree in social work and spends his career helping homeless people. And he says, if it wasn't for that one act, I wouldn't be here. What is the biggest lesson you learned writing these books? Well, I think that we all need to remember that every time we interact with someone, we need to realize that we could change their life forever. Either you could make someone's life better with your kindness, or you could ruin someone's life with your nastiness. And we need to remember that and try to be kinder and gentler with everyone. Can you tell us what you are working on next? Well, I'm currently finishing up a book about grief. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. Why do you have to go there? Well, my mom died 4 years ago. My dad died 11 years ago. And I realized there was a lot of good research about grief, but very little of it was comforting. And I wanted to write something that was comforting to people who've lost someone they love. So I interviewed a lot of experts, and I also looked at a lot of the research. And I wrote this book called Finding Comfort, and it should be out in April. I hope that helps people. That sounds like a really personal project for you. Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about this. When people ask me what my favorite story is in any of my books, I always say the one that hasn't happened to me yet. I haven't lost anyone close to me yet, and so I wanted to write a book that would help me with the process. And I hope it helps other people too. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your work with us. Thank you for having me.